Hello, this is Crypto CJ. It's a trade of the day, Friday afternoon Zoom edition. And despite last week's excitement, for lack of a better word, crypto dumping or Ethereum and Bitcoin dumping 10+% this week, it's been pretty mellow, going mostly sideways. Bitcoin is gripping 26K is support. Let's check it out on the chart. Okay, let's get to the right chart. Folks should be seeing my Bitcoin day chart.
Yep.
All right, thank you. And I've drawn some ranges here that I see for the last couple months. These are going back to May. We've got support down here around 26K, like I mentioned earlier, going down to 25 and change. So this is where I hope it holds. If we keep getting negative, we keep getting negative candles on the day chart, though, it wouldn't surprise me if this broke and we drop down to 20. I hope I'm wrong about that. This is a big dump from last week. So I'm seeing the top of the range between 30 and 32. I need to drag that down to maybe 29-ish, but yeah, it's up here. So we've got, about 10 to 15% between the top and the bottom on Bitcoin. And on Ethereum, looks kind of similar. Our bottom here is around 1620 to 1670, 1630, give or take. Then on top, we're around 1850 was support for quite a while, and then we broke that. Now it looks like it's going to be resistance. I've heard little news tidbits throughout the week, but nothing that I can really remember. So there's some ETF talk, Bitcoin, Ethereum. If those kind of things get ratified by the SEC, that could be a nice pump for crypto for maybe the last quarter of this year. But currently we are in a malaise around 26K on Bitcoin and 1650 around Ethereum. So anybody have any comments or questions about the markets overall? Any news items they want to discuss before we get started with Altcoin Alert? Okay. Let's head over to Altcoin Alert so we can see if we can find some day trades or some short-term swing trades for the weekend. Okay, I've got the altcoin radar selected, so I have all the columns. I'm going to reload to refresh. The first sort I usually do is the AA score. I looked at these two on the top, Request and Nano, both are, let's see, Request was on Coinbase, but the volume was really low, a lot of horizontal lines. It's usually indicative of low volume, don't like it. Nano jumped up 20% today. I looked at it on Kraken, but again, low volume scared me away. But I do like Ocean. It's pretty good volume. You can trade it on most exchanges, both leveraged and spot. Let's go to the chart. I just happen to have it handy. So here we are on Ocean. We'll start with the 5-minute. And at the moment, it's trending up through the top of the Bollinger Band. We've got about 1.5%, just not a lot of movement. Don't like that very much. But if you want to catch it at a better entry, I've drawn this range here between about 31 cents and maybe 31.2 cents. That could be a pretty good place to put in a price alert if it dips back down, since we have support in this range. And secondary support down here at about 30.5 cents. So if you want to do a price alert, let's say right in the middle, this is range, right click. There's your price alert there. I like round numbers, so I'll go with 0.311. I like to use alert names for my alert names, or sorry, information sources for my alert names. And so this is an AA score purchase. And then I'm gonna go to my notifications, and I'm gonna notify in my app show a pop-up on my computer screen, and sending an email I think is overkill, though I've done that before. And play a sound, which will go off on my desktop computer, works on a laptop as well. And I usually go with the 3 notes reverb, but you choose whichever one you like. And click create, and you're good to go. But that's not how I like to do my alerts. If you've been with me before, you know that I prefer indicators on the 15-minute chart. And let's get rid of this. And there's a few indicators I like to use: divergence, supertrend, and RSI. I'll usually choose 2 of those 3. I use RSI pretty consistently, but it does not fire off very often, where divergence and supertrend tend to give more entries, but also more false entries. So Craig so graciously reminded me that I should probably review how we download indicators and what they are. Indicators are usually just math. It's a formula that goes back in time, looks at certain situations, and calculates the potential likelihood of that situation occurring again. If you've been on a Crypt Nation Zoom call, you've probably heard Bryce say price has memory, so indicators can help with that. The divergence is something I didn't really trade with till I'd been doing this for about 1.5 years, 2 years, and it's just simply a disagreement between the price action and the indicator. I use divergence for many indicators, and we'll talk about a few different indicators and how I'm combining them in this one particular indicator. Some indicators group other indicators. So type in divergence, spell it correctly. Can't seem to type today. It will come up, and this is the one I like: divergence for many indicators, version 4 by Lonesome the something. And so I've got that one starred, so that's one of my favorites. So I've already got that on this layout. I have done videos on how to do layouts from the very beginning. I'm not going to go over that. That would take too long on this format. So you might want to search through my videos or anybody else's videos on YouTube to find out how to do that. So, but that's how you download an indicator. I've turned it off for the moment. I'm going to turn it back on. I've also got this backup divergence indicator that I use, but I'll keep it simple and not really reference that one at the moment. So we have bearish divergence. Let's say this MACD, which is a common indicator, the moving average convergence divergence, I think it's called. And MOM over here is momentum. I forgot what CCI is, but we have MOM again, OBV on balance volume, and then MFI is one I like, money flow index. So you get the idea. There's about 6 or 7 indicators I've chosen out of this one. I think I excluded one of them, 1 or 2 of them, because I didn't know what it was. So you can choose the indicators you want to use. This Chaikin money flow I thought was duplicative of the other money flow. I think otherwise I've kept the rest of them. You can click on this little gear to get to that window I was just looking at. And for style, you can customize it. That's what I've done with mine. I think they're like purple and yellow on here. If you just download it like I showed you, and then you can make it red and green. That's what I like. You can put the shapes where you like them. And visibility is not that important. So this is how I'm using this particular indicator. And let's see what we have. So for trading spot, we're just going to look for bullish indicators. And we've got 2 really good entries, but they don't happen very often. This one's from Thursday morning at 8:30, and this one is Thursday night at 10 p.m. So you would only gotten 2 trades on this. And let's say you enter on this one. Where do you get out? I'm usually looking for 2 to 3%. That's what the AA score tells us anyway. That let's look at that real quick. That Ocean has a 79.5% chance to go up 3% in the next 48 to 72 hours. So we can stick to that 3%, or I like to look at what I call well, what everyone calls resistance. So where did people sell before? And we've got this trend going on behind it on the 15-minute chart. And then that sort of tops out here, right around 3170. And again, we don't have this information to the right because I'm evaluating this entry here. So I'd probably look for it to return there. And that would have been a 3.5% move. I might have been a little more conservative. There's a sale right here at about 2.5%. If you pile up a bunch of 2.5% trades over a period of time, your balance can grow quite significantly. So had I chosen the 2.5, I would have been out in about 2 hours. Had I gone up to the top of this for 3.5, I would have been out, maybe half an hour later. So that's how I determine on spot trades where to get out. And on this one, this might be a better example because we've got this, all this history and resistance hitting right about 31.8. So I would have looked at this like, I'll get out right about here. I would have picked up 3% pretty quickly, less than 5 hours. So those are two good day trades, 2.5 and 3% on the same coin the same day. Of course, this one's kind of late at night. I tend to turn off my alerts at around 9 p.m. But, if you want to leave them on all night, that's your prerogative. So that looks pretty good on a spot trade for those two entries for yesterday. Now, if you're manually trading leverage, you want to look at the shorts too, and that's these red ones here, bearish divergence. So I set my alerts usually for both. So for a bullish divergence alert, I'm going to right click on it. Negative is the first one listed. There's a bunch of them listed. I don't care about hidden divergences, so I'm going with positive on this one. Once per bar close, so that'll stay on until you turn it off. And that'll also help with fake outs. That's why I don't use once per bar. And only once will, just like it sounds, only go off once. Okay, the alert name, again, my information source, a score purchase, and notifications. It will remember the last one you use. So I'll keep it with this. Click create. That's how you do that. But today's Friday, and I'm usually looking for shorts to do over the weekend because volume tends to decrease, and that usually lends itself to bearish moves as opposed to bullish moves. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to take a quick review of my past bearish conditions. And these entries from Wednesday are not that good. And again, if you're trading leverage, you can use the brokerage's money to increase your position. So what I like to do is I trade on 10x leverage, and I'm looking for a 1% move on the chart. So that gives me a 10% move on each position that goes my way. Now, if you're new to day trading or leverage trading, you may want to consider a much lower leverage, maybe 1 or 2%, so you don't get wrecked. But for my purposes, I'm gonna go ahead with the 10x leverage because that's what I do. But again, you do whatever leverage works best for you. So on this entry on around midnight on Wednesday, that would have been a really good one. 2%. Well, for me, I would have been out pretty quickly. 1% drop at 10x leverage, so I'm out in 3 hours. That's a good day trade for me. Had I taken this one the next morning, another 1% move pretty quickly. So that's a good one for me. Another one here. So you can see how these start to pile up. And then if it goes against me like this one, it doesn't quite get me out. Now I'm going to do some money management. I'm going to do some additional purchases and probably buy an additional one right here around this 2%. Probably still in that trade. So after 13 hours. So I'm going to go ahead and do a bearish divergence alert. Right click, add alert for divergence. Negative detected. That's the first one listed. I'll leave that. Once per bar close. And AA score purchase. And my notifications should be the same, so I'm going to turn that one on. And we have this one that just is flickering now. If the candle closes at say 3:30 p.m. Pacific, then that will be a trade I will most likely take. Not financial advice. All right, any questions on divergence before we head over to the super trend approach? Okay. Super trend is an easy indicator to use. It's trying to help you find a trend. Here's your indicators, how you get in. And there are a few you can choose from. Some of them have values a little bit different. These two are pretty similar. I think I'm using this one. And then let's see if I did anything. I've messed around with this ATR period and the multiplier, but for the most part, I think this is the template, the standard version. But if you want to play around with these, you can do that. Okay, since Wednesday, these have been pretty good. It's a big move here that it catches. I wouldn't trade just off the super trend. I think it's better than nothing, but I have a couple other indicators here. Most people who trade the trend will have usually at least two confirming indicators. This is the RSI, the relative strength index. This is a squeeze momentum. There's some overlap here, but generally it's talking about the strength of the price and the speed and those kind of things. So if this buy goes off here, the RSI is trending up, but the momentum is not caught up yet. You might want to wait till you get this green bar printed here on the momentum, and then get in there. You can use anything, well, not anything, but other trend-based indicators. I talked about the money flow index and MACD, and there are 3 or 4 others that people use for this kind of thing. Probably more than 3 or 4. RSI is pretty consistent. I've used that one for quite a bit of time. Squeeze momentum is something I added a couple of months ago. Seems to be working pretty well. And what I like about super trend is it's really easy on indicators, very indicator friendly. You can right click on it, add your alert. And if you're trading spot, you're going to keep the super trend buy. If you're looking for a short, go with sell. And what I often do is a direction change. So each time a sell or a buy goes off, then I'm good to go. And then call it what you want and click create, and that's how you do that. And it looks like each of these were profitable to some degree. So we looked at the buy had a big move, about a 1.5%, which would be good for me. 2.4% there. I don't know if I would have gotten in there because I didn't have confirmation here. And we're at the top of the RSI range. I'd rather be, if I'm taking a super trend, I'd rather be down here towards the bottom or at the middle at the most. Yeah, but right on the top here, sometimes that's considered, well, that's frequently considered oversold. So that might be running out of gas. And the sell here, I don't think would have been profitable for me. Maybe I just would have slipped in 1%. And then this one here. Yeah, probably get out there. So looks pretty good. Again, look at your past resistances to determine where you get out. If you don't see something pretty obvious to you on the 15-minute chart, go to a longer chart to try to find it. That'll change your entries, but we're just looking at the 30-minute in this instance to find resistance, potential places to get out. Or just go with the 3%. You know, if you're on an AA score, that's the easiest. Or be conservative and maybe 2% or 1.5%. All right, well, that's super trend. Any questions? All right, the last one is the best one in my opinion. This sort of helps you find 1, 2, 3 dips, and that's one of my favorite methods of trading. The 1, 2, 3 dip on the 5-minute chart. If you get a dip below the 30 value on the 15-minute chart and it's coming back up, that can often be a good entry, similar to a 1, 2, 3 dip on a 5-minute chart. So let me see if I can find an example here. This one didn't quite make it below 30, but for our purposes, we'll check this out. This is 6 a.m. on Wednesday. That's the negative divergence on Ocean. Maybe look at that a little bit later. All right, 6 a.m. on Wednesday. And let's see what that looks like. So it's not an ideal 1, 2, 3 dip. We don't really have the squeeze in the bubble, but we've got a dip sequence here, and then it shoots back up right about 6 a.m. That's the same time, but we do catch this big move. So again, it's a dip sequence, but it's not a perfect 1, 2, 3 dip. But for our purposes, you know, I think it's sufficient. So let's set this up. All right, back to the 15-minute chart, and I've got my vertical line here that will show us instances of where this happened. On the short side, this did not work out for us because if you get in here, that's going to be a loss depending on your money management. You know, for me, if I'm over 6 to 10% is the most of a loss I'm willing to take, and that happens right about here. In one of my money managements, this would have been I would have been stopped out, and another one I'd still be in the trade. Let's look for a long one. This doesn't go down to the 30, but it does go kind of close, 31.9. So let's say we had this set at 32, and we get this move back up. We get a near perfect entry right here on this dip on the 15-minute chart, and a nice move, 3% up, you know, right here to where the resistance is on this chart. And so that's really good stuff. So let's say you're looking at this now and you're just seeing this price action here in the middle. So there's really no entry at the moment, but you want to set an alert in case one does happen. Right click, add an alert on RSI. For spot, we're going to be crossing up. And most of these values I usually use 30, but since we had a good entry at 32, I'd probably use that one again. Once per bar close, and then this is still altcoin or AA score purchase, and you're good to go there. If you want to do a short, let's say you try to catch a move like this, then you're going to go crossing down on the 70. If you want to trade both directions, we're going to enter a channel. So this one is one I made up myself. Entering a channel, 70 on top, and we'll use that 32 on the bottom. Once per bar close, call it the AA score. And then I usually, since I trade this on a different account, I'm going to change it to Chirpy. I was using the 3 notes reverb for the divergence and the super trend, but we'll use Chirpy for the RSI. Click create. And you'll see it'll create this rectangle here. So if you hover over it, you know, this is the 32 value, and there's the 70 value. So if it shoots above 70, that does not trigger the alert. It only triggers when it drops below. So in this scenario, would trigger here. and it would go against us at first, but then drop down, and that's ends up being a good day trade for me at the 1% goal. Okay, if you get this 32 entrance, and well, we just showed this a moment ago, got our resistance here, we get out 3% in about 5 hours, so that's a really good day trade. Okay, so we talked about spot and leverage options. Any questions on Ocean? I should show you how to download the RSI and the squeeze momentum. Click up here into your indicators, type in RSI. You'll see this a lot. It'll print out the whole thing, relative strength index, but it'll show these blue letters, the abbreviation that everybody uses. You just click that on, and it'll add to your chart. MACD is another one we talked about, same thing. Squeeze, momentum, by Lazy Bear. Usually some traders will create these, and then they'll post them for free to TradingView, which is pretty cool. Then you can download it, mess around with it. That's how you do that. All right. Well, I'm going to go to probably 2 more coins. I'm going to go through them faster since I did more explanation than I usually do on the Ocean option. So let's go to Altcoin Alert. And since I've been blabbing for a while, I'm going to reload. And instead of the AA score, I'll try the social activity. And I want to match up fire and thumbs up with trading activity. So, and then I want it to be something I'm used to trading. And Blue Zell. Yeah, let's look at Blue Zell. This one's been hot lately, though it did take a dip today. Thought it was on my list. I think this is on Coinbase. It is. Let's see, it's also on Bybit if you want to trade leverage. Let's go bring the Bybit chart. Okay, take a quick look at the 5 to see if we're in a dip sequence. We are not. We're in the opposite of a dip sequence. We're going sideways and sitting on the SMA line. That's this red line here. The green lines are Bollinger Bands. And this is just sort of determining what the range is for the not so distant past. I'm seeing some support right around here in this range. I'm not going to draw the rectangle. You can probably see it through my cursor going back and forth, right around 11.1 cents. So that could be a place for a price alert if you don't want to deal with indicators. Right click, add your alert, call it what you want. You're good to go for your price alert. Okay, on the 15-minute, we'll look at divergence first. And yeah, this one's really pumping. When you get a tiny move like that on a chart and it's 3%, another one here is 6%. So the bullish divergences did pretty well. If you're conservative, if you went for this resistance here for 7%, you didn't make it, crash. So now you're down 20%. So you're either stopped out or you've made additional purchases. Maybe you get out around here if you make additional purchases, maybe not. The short here did well. This did not do well immediately. This, yeah, down 20%, but eventually, pretty quickly, it comes back. So this entry down here with the RSI would have been better. We'll look at that in some more detail a little later. So this divergence is a dud. but all the others look good. So if you want to short this, you can click, and it doesn't matter which one you click on. You click on the negative divergence once per bar close, and then you're good to go. If you want to go long, you don't have a change direction like you do on the super trend. So if you want to trade both directions, you have to create two separate alerts. You're positive there once per bar close, and social activity sort. Yeah. If you do an alert name enough times, TradingView will remember it, usually after 5 or so. So that's kind of cool. Okay, so that's the divergence option. Super trend. This entry is not good. Well, it's better than I thought. 3% move. This one's good. This is not good. That would have been probably a loss. The sell, same thing. So there's probably 2 losses here. This buy and this sell. Might have been screened out, the sell, because it's right in the middle of this green on squeeze momentum. So I probably don't take that trade. That would have screened it out. This sell here, I might have waited until this candle here that turns my squeeze momentum red. So, all right, not bad, but not great. Let's look at RSI. Okay, got long here. This dips below the 30 and comes back up. So 3% here. Had you been more aggressive going for one of these areas, you might have gotten out here. But had you gone for this one at 14 cents, you don't make it. And then the next big move is this over here. You get the cross right here. You get the big dip, doesn't trigger the alert, but the move back does. So that's what I like about this. And then it's a great move, 10%. So if you're waiting for it to come all the way back up here at 18%, which is pretty aggressive, you might get out here, or you'd still be in that trade. You might just missed it. So, all right, well, that's the RSI. Any questions about what we talked about? Okay, I'm gonna look for a short of the day, then we'll wrap it up. So we talked about social activity and trading activity. Another one I like to match up that have some similarities are long-term sentiment and elder impulse. You can hover over the question marks to see what they talk about. Long-term sentiment, essentially what people are talking about online, and elder impulse daily is a technical indicator when they match up. That's something I want to look at in some more detail. I'm going to sort by elder impulse today. And we've got Doge. I looked at this morning, but ruled it out. But that's the only one that matches up. So we'll look at it again, see if it looks better than it did this morning. Okay, 5-minute chart. Less than 1% between the Bollinger Bands. Not good. It's not moving that much. Price alert down here around 6.2 cents. Maybe 6.1 cents between these two areas. 15-minute. Yeah, it was trending down pretty hard. For me, I like range trading. I like markets going like that. If they trend down in one direction, since I trade off divergence more than super trend, it works better for me if they're ranging. Yeah, all these bullish divergences would have been junk. That's why I ruled that one out this morning. Let's just look at the worst one to see if it would have kicked me out. No, It's just not moving that much. So what looks like a big move on a chart, it's only 3%, where when we were looking at the Bluezell chart, or Bluezell, or whatever it's called, a tiny move, like a centimeter, was 3%. That's why you got to measure these out each time. Yeah, I'd probably still be in that trade, but I wouldn't have been stopped out. But I just don't like what I see here because all the bullish ones, especially if you're trading spot, are just not moving that much. So this is where you might want to bail on divergence and get fewer entries. Look at supertrend, see if they're better there. This buy isn't bad from Wednesday morning. This buy here is probably going to require an additional purchase. Yeah, it goes up a little bit, then drops. I'd probably do an additional purchase at -2% and then try to get out right where I got in. So it's a process called ladder buying or dollar cost averaging. I do it until I get usually 6 to 10% move against me on the chart. I've done a lot of videos back in 2020 and 2021 about ladder buying, so you might want to look at those if you want to familiarize yourself with the concept. But what I just showed you, this buy, I would have gotten in here at 2% and then gotten out probably right about here. So my first position is a break even or a slight profit. My second position is a 2%. Yeah, 2+% move. So it averages out to a 1%. I'm out of the trade with profit. So that's what I like about ladder buying. But if you do it infinitely, you can get stuck, and being stuck is no fun. Stuck in for days, weeks, months, years. So, all right. Well, that's super trend. Let's look at if RSI would have given us better entries. Let's just look for long. Well, we were going to look for a short, but we looked at shorts earlier. So this entry here looks pretty good. Might be less than 1% though. Yeah. Yeah, most likely you don't get out with this unless you're super conservative, looking for like a 0.5 or 0.8 or something like that. I mean, the resistance is up here at around 1.9%, and we haven't gotten back there yet. So most likely it goes against you. You get this, actually it doesn't go down 2% yet. So you're probably in this with a small profit at the moment. It's not a great example. And then this would have been a better entry, though it doesn't quite go below 30. If it goes, say, 31 to 32, and that's where you set your alert, then you might be in profit on this one. Probably get in right about here, dips a little. Yeah, for me, I would have gotten out here at 1%, but on spot, most likely you're going to stay in longer. Okay. Any questions on Doge? Very well. That's about all I have for altcoin alert. Thought I'd try looking for specifically a short, but running a little low on time, so I probably have time for if you want to look at a specific coin or have any questions about altcoin alert, day trading, swing trading, anything like that. Very well. We have a quiet group today. I'll go ahead and stop this Zoom call here. If you are watching on the recording, I appreciate that. I'd rather see you live. Check out the opportunities listed in the pinned comment. They help support the channel. If you're a Carbon member, you will need to access the 4 p.m. Pacific Zoom call with the new link, and I will see you over there shortly. The rest of you have a good weekend. Bye.